Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited that we have another episode coming up this week. We have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks since our last update, so let's get right into it. First off, I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween. I hope Halloween went very well for everyone. I hope it was nice. It was nice for me. It was a good, relaxing break of the normal work week and normal um, every day, um, getting things done, and yeah, it was a great time, and it was really cool this week. It was on a Friday too. I think a lot of people were happy about that. I think that was a good time. Um, so you know what that means? We have Black Friday coming up, which is really cool. We have Black Friday coming up in just about a month, and we're starting to get ready for that. And um, in the retail, it's going to be a busy week. It's going to be a very busy week in for us in retail, and um, I think that the entire month of November is going to be pretty busy. Because there's it looks like from what I've seen, at least from the company that I work for, I know there's going to be a lot of um, deep discounts and stuff that they release to a lot of people in the general public, that there's going to be like deals with, you got your Target Circle, you got your Walmart Plus, you got your Kroger. I don't know what Kroger has, but you have like their paid subscriptions, and so they get um, deals before everyone else. So I know there's going to be a lot of those. So I think it's going to be a very busy month this month. Um, so yeah, I got a quick story for everyone. Um, Had a really funny, kind of funny and kind of sad um, thing happen the other day at work. So I've been working a lot of night shifts lately. And I don't usually work nights. I usually work mornings, and I enjoy mornings. I think they're a good break uh, from the evening chaos. Because it seems like once the sun goes down, it gets crazy in retail. It really does, and I prefer not to work when it's like that. I just think it's easier in the morning. It's more relaxing. Um, I get more stuff done, and it's kind of nice. You start your day with work. You know what it's gonna look like, and then you after that, then you get everything else done that you need to do. Any meetings you need to have, any school you need to do, anything you need to do in general. You can get it done after that. So I enjoy going in the morning. But I had this really interesting thing happen the other day. Um, I was working in retail, and this guy decides it'd be a good idea to grab a Segway. This was right after I got off my shift, so fortunately I did not have to deal with this. Um, but I did see it. Guy takes a Segway, so those come in pretty big boxes, and he picks it up and starts running with it. And this guy, he was not very fast. So it was kind of more like a speed walking thing, and he was running out of it. But the weird thing was, he ran through the cash register area instead of just running out the door, which I again thought was probably not the best choice. But he runs through the cash register area, and an employee decides to run after him and is like screaming at him, "Come back with that! Come back!" And he just keeps speed walking, and all the other customers just turn around and are just staring um, at the associates, and the associates are like, we cannot do anything about this. And I think it's kind of frustrating for everyone involved, because those are expensive. That's an expensive product right there, and there's nothing they can do. It just it just sits there, and then once it gets stolen, and you can call security, but and you can call the police, but as from an associate standpoint, everyone expects them to do stuff, but you really can't do anything. And in the training videos, they tell us, don't don't do anything. So it's it's kind of sad to see that that's where our our country is going, but it it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. And yeah, so next thing I want to talk about is I'm going to give a quick airline update. So I did end up reaching out to them and asking um, uh, about my about my first interview, because I didn't hear anything back, and it's been about 6 weeks, so it definitely was time for me to send over a quick email, and they responded pretty quickly, and they said they're going to need 2 more weeks to make a decision. So by the next podcast, I might actually not film the podcast until I know, so that way I can share it on the podcast, and I'll give you the good news or the bad news, and yeah, and I'm excited. I think if I do end up getting the position and going for training and stuff like that, I think it'd be really cool to share it on this podcast, because this is what this podcast is for, is the aviation career that I want. And I think it's important to also show my journey of getting there as well. And um, and I wanna share that with you guys. So um, I'm gonna continue to do every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I'm gonna jump on here, record a couple minutes, and just put it out for you guys just to get a quick update of what's going on. Um, yeah, so we talked about Black Friday. I explained my segue story, and then the airline needing 2 more weeks, and I think everyone's question is what do I do if I don't get the airline job? And I do have a backup idea, and it has changed. Like previously in my past two episodes, I have explained my idea, what I'm going to do if I don't end up getting the job or whatever ends up happening. And I have a new idea, and I think it is better, and I think it's kind of more of what I want to do, and I think it's going to bring my uh, level of experience forward. And so to get the job that I want, I think this is the way to go. So here's my new idea. At my local airport around here, you can go over there and you can actually interview. You don't have to have an appointment or anything. You just show up, you do an interview, and you can work. Um, they're giving away jobs anywhere in the airport, and you just go over there, do a quick interview. And I did a lot of research into this, and I think it'd be kind of a cool experience just to go down there. That way you can put on your resume that you got something on your resume, so that way the companies know, hey, this person's really interested in aviation because they obviously um, have had a job in aviation. So I was thinking about doing that. I think that will increase my experience and increase my likeliness of getting one of my dream jobs at a later date. And I think it would be really cool. Speaking of resume building, there is a couple of things that I have done to my resume to enhance it. And one of the things that I have done is I've actually done another certification. This one was through my employer. I did another certification. I got it in IBM critical thinking, and um, it was a good it was definitely it kind of showed um a lot of different things that I didn't think of, and I think it was definitely worth me doing, and I would recommend it. It was the course IBM Critical Thinking and Problem Solving, I believe. And I think it was definitely worth my time. It was definitely worth my time to do, and um I would recommend it. I think it was good. And into my next segment, we have a couple more things to talk about. But in my next segment today, after this segment, I want to kind of go over some of the like. There was a lot of cool things that I learned in my other courses, and I believe I shared on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that I did do two other courses, and I kind of want to open up some of the documents and kind of just share some of the stuff that I learned because I think it was really cool, and I want to share that. But that'll be in the next segment. And then the next thing I want to talk about. Um, so I had a couple of investment and bank meetings this week and last week, and so I had a bank one, and I had a credit union one. And the bank one, and they were both for the same thing. I have a couple of CDs. Um, at the bank, and I have a couple of CDs at the credit union. And so at the bank, I went down there, and you know how they sit you down and they kind of want to, especially for the younger people, they try to get them hooked into a new credit card or something like that. So of course they played that game, and they not really game, but you know they're trying to do good business, and they're trying to get people into the business of wanting they're doing a good job. They're salesmen. That's what they do. Um, and so they try to give me a new credit card, and I actually went for it this time. And I usually don't go for that. I Now this would be my second credit card, so right now I have two credit cards. But I'm trying not to get a lot of credit cards because um, of course, I've and as a lot of people know, it does ruin your credit score, and I don't want to have too many of them, but this one was worth it because I was on the educational one, and I did upgrade to the personal adult one. So I do think it was worth the 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 hit on the credit score to get this. Um, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up just paying off my other credit. I'm gonna wait a couple cycles to make sure it's good, and then I'll end up ending that one, and then I'll go and just have that one, um, have the personal one. So I think it'll be good. But one of the things that I learned was I went to the credit union, and so as many of you guys know, the banks, they keep their thing, their is it APY? Maybe. Um, they keep theirs lower. So, um, I think the highest one was, I think, 4 or 5 months at 3.25. Um, and then I went to the credit union. A lot of people know this. I'm just sharing it for the people who don't know. It was 4.0 for 6 months. And so I ended up doing that. I ended up just putting everything into the CD for the 6 months, and at the 4.0, and that was pretty good. And then they were also, when I was at the credit union, they were also trying to sell me a credit card. And this wouldn't be good for me, but if you're in a tight position with your not paying bills and all that, but something that's kind of interesting is, so you got a 25 um, percent, about, it's different depending on what credit card you're doing and stuff like that at the bank, but you have like about a 25% um, more that you have to pay back if you don't pay it by the due date and stuff like that. But at the credit union, they told me that the credit card they were trying to get me to sign up for was only 12. And I kind of thought that was kind of crazy. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I thought that was crazy. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And that brings me um into what I'm trying to do is just invest and get the 401k going, and I got the 401k, so got the 401k going, and the CDs are also very good, and I'm not giving any uh, financial advice. I would recommend talking to a financial institution about what's right for you. But I just thought that was very interesting, and it was kind of just those two things I thought were kind of cool just talk about, and just so you're aware, because I think it's kind of cool to share that, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. I think some people are, especially if you've taken classes in it, but if not, then you're probably not aware of that, and I think it's good to be aware of that. And yeah, so now we're going to get into the next segment. So we're going to talk about the course, and I'm going to bring up some of the course stuff that I learned. So I'm going to bring this up here. And so the one course I took, it really focused on reflections, and in a group form, in a individual form. For the group, I thought it was very interesting because they tell you, like, they want you to share, like, what happened, why, and then, like, they want you to think in your head, why did it happen, and um, what did you experience, like, share your thoughts, your feelings, and um, what can you learn from that, and when can we use um, that which you learned. So that was one of the things that I learned, and I spent a little bit of time explaining that, and I thought it was kind of cool. Let me look here, see if there's anything else in this one that I thought was worth sharing? In this course I took, it was really cool because it was just um, a lot of stuff, like a lot of PDF files. I thought that was kind of cool. It also focused on leadership style, a lot on leadership style, and a lot of looking at your um, how you like to lead, and I thought that was really cool. And it said, and then there was a lot of thinking, and I thought that was kind of cool too, because like one of the question was who do you admire in a leadership role, and what are some of their qualities that you want to incorporate in your leadership role? I thought that was kind of cool. And then and it says like look at something that you faced and explain why and how it influenced the outcome because of the leadership style you had. And I thought that was kind of cool as well. It was kind of cool to look at. Um, and it's a lot of self-awareness and personal growth and becoming a better manager. So I thought that was kind of cool. And like one of the questions, strengths, what are strengths that you possess as a manager? Um, Areas that you want to improve in. And it's a lot of trying to figure out what you already know that you need to improve on, and then how am I going to fix that, and how am I going to do better. And another one of um, your relationship with your team members, like how are you treating your team members and how are you treating the team that you're managing. I thought that was kind of cool. um, what else we got here? How do you ensure that you're approachable, like showing that people can come up to you and ask you questions, and I think that's important because I've had bosses in the past where I don't feel comfortable going up to them and asking them the questions. So that's kind of good. And then and then it goes into the goals, and like what are your goals of being a manager, and um, your long-term goals, your short-term goals, your personal biases. So it has you write down what are your personal biases, and what is how is your biased influence your decision making, which I think is kind of interesting because I mean I feel like everyone's had that boss where they like certain people and so they're going to give them the easy jobs, then the person they don't like gets the hard job, and it is definitely important. Um, and then it talks about what, and then it asks you what steps are you taking to ensure that your bias isn't negatively impacting your team. And then it talks about stress and how are you typically reacting under stress, and your signals of your stress, and what are your strategies and your self-care activities or practices. Thought that was kind of cool. Let's see if we can find another thing because I just thought it was a helpful thing to do, and there's a lot of them. You just look them up online. Um, just certificate courses. I think they're very cool. And like sometimes some of the courses, and I've taken a couple now, but some of the courses will actually want you to do it while you're at work. Look, like they'll give you like something to look for or something that you're doing, and write down your observations, or when you're going around asking for feedback, and your reflections, um, and just talking to your team and understanding them better. Let's see if we can find another one here that is worth sharing. Let's see. Let's see if we find a different one. A lot on bias though, and I do think that's an important thing in that role though. I think it's important not to have a bias and treating all your team. And I know a lot of companies, like the company I work for, you can't be a manager if you have a relationship with someone on that team. So I think that is important, and it talks about cultural bias, strictness bias, central tendency bias, spillover bias, stuff like that. And I think that it was very important to take a look at. Let's see what else here. I'm kind of just going through. There was just a ton of things to look. Just a lot of your opinions and your strengths and areas that you can improve on. No, oh, this is one thing that I think is important. Work-life balance. I think that's important. Says for the following. What are the following aspects of your life when assessing your work-life balance? So that's work demands, personal time, family relationships, and your mental and physical well-being. And I think it's important. I try to take um, like a little bit of time to myself too, just doing nothing, and I think that is important. Um, and then it has you effect on your current. Are you satisfied with with the amount of time and energy you dedicate to your work and personal life? Are you effectively managing that? Are you not being burned out? Are you managing your stress? Are you setting aside time for your self-care, your relaxation? Because if it is hard work getting up every day and then going back to work the next day, that can be difficult. Are you maintaining strong connections with your family and friends? I think that's an important one. That I think that's very important. And then it asks you to reflect on all of that. And it says be honest with yourself, and then create an action plan. Like how can I improve from those questions, and how can I better become better at that work life balance? Another thing it focused on is this one I'm looking at right here, um, was keeping meetings very short and concise, but not even that, but making sure that you're sharing what is needed and then just leaving out everything else that's just not necessary. Just keeping it quick so people can get back to work. Because the longer you have it, the less it people are going to be listening. So it comes with an agenda, the welcome and introduction, and it asks you how many minutes you're going to put on that. You have your topic, you put your duration for that, and you have your your discussion points, your meeting objectives. That's what it's called. And then you put your attendees in there, and so you talk about your 3 points, you do your action items, and you do that 3 times. Um, and it says make sure that you include the person that's responsible for that and their deadline, and then you do your wrap up and next steps. And it says schedule the meeting, stuff like that. And I think that's kind of cool. I think that will waste less time because at work right now, at least for me, we're having issues where I'm thinking that we need a meeting just to get everyone on the same page, and I think it's very important to have that. Let's see what else we got here. One course I took, this is on another course, and it talks about the first 94 days being very important, and the first important meetings, and talking about early on as a manager. Your ethical. One of them talked about ethics. Is it legal? Does the decision relate to your core values and the values that your company or you or just in general that you're setting for yourself and others? would it be okay if everyone found out about it? Like, is it okay? And then would it look good on the news or social media or stuff like that if someone wrote about it tomorrow? And will you be able to sleep well tonight knowing that that's what you did? I think that's good. I think that's good questions to ask. Um, Decision making reflections. Identifying the problem, clarify context, brainstorm alternatives, analyze those alternatives. Choosing the alternatives, check the ethics, make sure it follows everything with that, implement and then follow up. I think that's good. Let's see what else we got here. There was just a ton of resources in these things that I done decision making. So we already talked about competence. It did there the one I took, one of them, one certification that I did, one class talked a lot about competence and your skill and your will, motivation, courage, experience, knowledge, a lot of ethics, that new manager checklist going over. This one recommends you get yourself a notebook, study the purpose and the goals of your organization, ask a couple of key questions. Why does your organization exist? What is the main purpose of your organization? What is the vision of your organization? What are the plans of getting to that vision? What are the organization's message to the outside world? I think that's kind of important because the company I work at, in the that I've worked at in the past, that was a big thing. Talking with your boss or just even figuring it out. Sometimes I've worked at jobs where I don't even know who the boss is. That is not good. Meet with your whole team, meet individually with each team member. A lot about that behavior, your mindset that you have, and especially your first days on the job. Let's see here. Now looking at a different one. This one's your regular management tasks. So daily, it's saying walk about half an hour, getting ahead of the game time, jobs to do at the end of the day, your weekly jobs. So thank everyone that has worked for you. I think that's important. I had a boss that did that at one of my previous jobs, and I think that was very important that they came up and they thanked this boss. He was a great boss. He came around and thanked every single person that worked for his team. I thought that was really cool before he left because he went home before everyone else did. Because his shift ended before everyone else, and he went around and thanked every single person that worked for him. Um, this one emphasizes. This one actually talked a lot about having your team meetings just half an hour. Don't have them super long. They're not. It no one's listening after a certain point. Um, Coachings, and then monthly. It's saying to review the person's progress relative to the goals that they've set, motivation reviews, and then yearly it's talking about appraisals, and then asking yourself and asking others, how can I be better? I think that's important. One training that I took talked about going back and trying to do the job that you're the job that of the people that you're managing. I think that's important because I think some people have a hard time um, with that. So I think that's extremely important. Another thing was the management styles, the consult, the tell and sell, the share, the delegate. Let's see here. Oh, one of them that I really liked was giving everyone ownership of something. I thought that was really important because that's something that I even like because I like to be in charge of something at my organization or company. Um, it gives me purpose and it gives me um, thoughts and it tells when I come in today that day I know that I can work on that project and I know that project can be done right. So I think that's cool. Um, I recommend that one. Um, and then giving people time to share feedback and just to have a conversation with you. Um, let's see what else. One of them talked about the four different types of people. So you have your analytical, your controller, your amiable, and your enthusiast. So analytical would be the full reasons and background. That's monitoring, measuring the rules, given the big picture, left to do the detail, own area of expertise, and not rushed. Remind, deliver on time, and motivate people. Motivate team. One of them was the controller, clear instructions, freedom, no petty rules, control, delegate, factual feedback, focus on results, and power to get things done. Um, Enthusiasts, pep talks, encouragement, social challenges, target. So that kind of shows you that. Let's see what this is. Okay, so it's kind of like a pyramid of self fulfillment, self esteem, being valued, social belonging, security, and survive. And it says, "Does your job give you these?" I think that's kind of important. Um, your variety of your work, your goals to aim for, your challenges, your set your own objectives, your personal development plans, finding out your skills and your strengths. That's important. I think that is very important. Let's see this here. This one. Okay, yeah, here we go. Um, Leadership for action for under the task, like identifying task and constraints, establishing priorities, checking resources, deciding, setting the standards for briefings, briefing the team, checking understanding for the support, monitor and control, report progress, maintain standards, discipline and evaluate, summarize progress, review objectives, replan if necessary, the team, involve team, share commitment. Yeah, I think that's important. I think there's a lot of if especially if you're going into management, I would definitely take a look at this. I think this is really cool. Um, let's see if we can find another one here. Being a new manager, we talked about that already. Yeah, overall, I would, if you are a manager or just getting into the manager game, I would definitely consider doing these courses. It really has opened up my mind, and I have to see different ideas and different ways of being a manager and different things to think about, and I think it's cool. Um, Here's another thing here. Um, so this course recommends that you get a get a make a list of things you want to work on with your personal boss. So, like examples of that, what is your framework? What are your expectations? What support can you get from the organization, the mandates? I think that's good because I think a lot of bosses, I don't think give that, and I think that the intermediate bosses get confused on what okay, so what are the support we're getting from the company? What are we able to do? I think that's important. I think that's cool. Um, and then the expectations that are supposed to be of me. So what are the expectations that I am supposed to um have? Let's see here. Group dynamics, being direct. I think again that stuff's important as well. Yeah, there's a lot of good just there's a lot of good stuff out there to just to take a look at. And so goal setting, there was one course I took that was a lot on goal setting and learning about how to do better goals and making smart goals and um, making a personal smart goal and then it has you do exercises and making an action plan. I think that's cool. That I thought that was really cool. And another thing too that I want to talk about today is so I am trying to improve my resume and make it more uh to the point and to the ways that are going to be better and ultimately get the job. So I've been doing a lot of research on that. WGU has it so where you can sign up for an appointment, and if you go to WGU and you can actually talk to someone and they can help you with your resume, and I'm sure a lot of colleges have that as well. Um, and there's tons of templates online that I've been looking through, and I mean they're pretty simple, but um, I think that they're cool to do, and there was a couple of things that I've added on to my resume that I think will improve improve it a little bit. Um, let's see here. Oh, we haven't looked at this yet. Um, accuracy and documentation. I think that's important, especially with ethics. Having that stuff documented when someone breaks ethics code and all stuff like that. I think that's important to document. Non-discrimination, confidentiality. That's important. Constructive feedback. Back to the confidentiality thing, though, I think that's extremely important. If someone tells you something as a manager, you shouldn't be going around telling everyone. I think that's important. It's confidentiality, constructive feedback, employee rights, just holding your employees accountable, but treating them like humans. I think that's basically sums that up. I think that's important. Consistency, transparency. I think that's important. Avoiding retaliation, especially sorry, retaliation. I think that's important as a boss. You can't be retaliating. Let's see what else we can find here. And then um, one of the courses I took, it kind of gives you management tools to help you with that. Um, and it explains like the features of all the ones that they have on there. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see if we can find see if we can find precision. We talked about that. Competence. I think that's important. We talked about that. I think we pretty much got everything that I have learned from those courses. Again, I would definitely recommend them. I think they're extremely important to do. I think that they really open up your mind to just not how your business works and the stuff that they're having you do at your company and how you're treating your employees at your company, but it opens it up to worldwide, not only the United States, because I did a couple of them that were people out of the United States, and it was very cool to see how they were able to do their business. And it's but one thing, another thing too, is it's actually very similar. I felt like a lot of businesses, even in different countries, are still run the same, even with different ways of like they're different countries. They do think everything differently. Um, but I still found it was very similar, which I found very interesting. Even with that, the way companies run is still very similar. And I thought that was very, very interesting. Um, Self-auditing your leadership, I think that's important. I think just overall understanding that you're not the perfect boss, you can still get better, you can still do more things. I think that's important to realize for people. And so, like this one, I regularly discuss my progress, my job objectives in a constructive way with my boss. So, yes or no. My team, they have a clear shared goal, have their objectives measured and displayed on a graph so they understand what they're doing and how it's going to improve or um, improve the company profit, stuff like that. I think that's important. I think that's pretty cool. I like when at my work they show us why the way we do things is going to improve our success. I think that's pretty cool. Um, you've asked your team members to set your own objectives. They have a challenge that they're working on. I think that's important. I think everyone has their struggles, but I think a lot of people do have work struggles as well, and I think it's important that the boss understands that as well. Because I've had jobs where the boss is the problem, and that was my main struggle, and I would tell them that if they asked me. Um, Pushing your team to perform beyond their comfort zone. Um, Jobs you're finding for fun and could give to them and have them do that. Are you talking to your employees? Um, are you leading by example? Are you doing time management? Again, these courses are just, they go into so much depth of being a great leader and a great manager, and they do a really good job. Even if they're from a different country, they still have shown me a lot, and it's kind of cool to see how they do things in that country versus America, and it's actually very similar. So I was quite impressed with that. Yeah. So coming up next, I want to talk about the things that I've learned from the IBM course that I took. So I'm gonna pull up that next, and we're gonna take a look at that, and I kind of want to show um what I've learned from that. So I'm going to pull that up so we can take a look at that. This was a pretty good course, I would say. Kind of shows you a lot. Um, at first, it has you thinking of why you need to focus on problem solving. Um, you got your critical thinking and your creative thinking. Critical thinking, it uses facts, logic to evaluate ideas, to decide the best solution, and it converges around a solution. Creative thinking is more on the generates more creative ideas. Um, it's going to have many different solutions, and it involves the brainstorming. Um, and it, yeah, and I just think it was really cool. I would definitely recommend the IBM Solving Problems with Creative and Critical Thinking. Again, this is not sponsored, but I would definitely recommend taking a look. Right now, um, I started a new course at WGU towards my degree in Bachelor's in Business Management. Um, and I'm gonna probably talk about that one next week. I'm also working on a supply chain analytics from Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. So I'm working on that as well. So next week, I mean, in 2 weeks when the next podcast comes out, I'm gonna probably be talking about the Rutgers, what I'm doing right now, and I'm probably also gonna be talking about the I'll probably also talk about my WGU course and how that's going so far. So I kind of want to just give a quick rundown of how WGU is going so far for me. So what we got going on so far is I have completed the orientation for um what's it called? The actual college. So first I was in the academy, and that's when I completed a course, Fundamentals of Business Management. And then now I'm in the actual college and I've completed the orientation. Very straightforward, I think. I think um, they kind of show you kind of how things run. If you haven't done academy, especially, then it kind of shows you how they kind of do things and how it's kind of different than traditional schools and resources that you can go to if you get stuck and stuff like that. So I think it is very important that to have those resources and yeah, orientation, I would definitely pay attention. They have you download Grammarly. Grammarly's really helpful. I use Grammarly all the time. Again, not sponsored, but Grammarly I found very helpful in just writing and your grammar and using punctuation correctly and stuff like that. So I think that's important. Um, Also, the they have you download Guardian browser, so when you're taking your tests, then you use that browser instead of using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox and stuff like that. So you would use the Guardian browser instead. Let me see what else. And then they just give you a lot of just resources that you can do. That's how I figured out about the that that one resource where you can have a meeting and they're going to help you with your resume. I think that's really cool. Um, I would also reach out and look at what your employer has to offer with certifications because sometimes they'll pay for them. They'll pay for you to do your certifications. Um, and that's separate from your degree, but it's kind of cool just to put that on your resume and have another thing on your resume as well. So that's pretty cool to have. Um, yeah, so I recommend WGU so far. It's going pretty well. And again, in 2 weeks on the podcast, I'm going to go in deeper depth of what I've kind of learned so far. And let's see, I haven't really started it yet, but let me see what course I am doing with WGU. Okay, so it's organizational behavior. And then after that, I'm doing business communication, health, fitness, and wellness, and then functional functions of human resource management. So we definitely have a lot to do with that, and I think it will go pretty well. So yeah. Um, so again, in 2 weeks, I'll give an update on that. We'll check to see how things are going with the Black Friday craziness in retail. We'll give that airline update because we're gonna know next time the podcast comes out, and I'm gonna tell you guys. We'll be honest of how it's going, and yeah, and then the WGU thing. So thank you for listening to the podcast today. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great week next week, and see you later.
Beyond the spectrum of sound, a legion of superheroes rise to the call.